Excellency, good afternoon, sir. Honorable Minister Kwame McCoy, Director of Presidential Affairs, Master Nadir Sharma, Kit Nascimento, ladies and gentlemen of the Presidential Press Corps, and everyone joining us via radio, television, and the various social media platforms. Good afternoon and welcome to the Presidential Press Conference and to State House. On behalf of His Excellency, I warmly welcome you to this end-of-year press conference, and we deeply appreciate your presence here today as we reflect on the tremendous progress made over the past year. His Excellency will address key issues and outline the vision for our future. So we look forward to a productive dialogue during this session. And to take us through this session is Mr. Kit Nascimento, who will take you from here. Kit, over to you.
Thank you, Llewellyn. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press. A happy new year to each and every one of you. Most of you now are familiar with the routine. When it comes to question time, we will start at my immediate left. I know. We start at my immediate left, and then we will pass the mic on down. You will be given one question, one follow-up, and we will continue so that we get the maximum number of questions in the available period of time. We'll try and get the press conference done within 1 hour, subject to the President's final decision on that. I will now hand over to His Excellency, the President.
Thank you very much, Kit. First of all, let me wish all the members of the media fulfilling 2025 as we exit 2024. We exit 2024 with a stronger resolve in building a country that continues to be sustainable, resilient, vibrant, and one that will fulfill the aspirations of every Guyanese, and one in which prosperity will be built in every home. We're going to change things up a bit here this afternoon, so please, questions.
As you see, there will be no opening statement, and we will start immediately.
Questions, please.
With questions. First question.
Thank you. Hi, Mr. President.
State the name of your organization and then your question.
All right, Kimal King with Reuters. Sir, in November, Surinam's Foreign Minister, Mr. Albert Ramdin, said that he summoned the ambassador of Guyana to protest plans by the government of Guyana to build an airstrip in what they call the Tigray area, as well as a school in what they have said is Suriname territory. Could you give any identifying information about those specific projects and how the government of Guyana is treating with Suriname on this issue?
Next question. All right, I'll finish her.
Take it one at a time.
All right, let me take your question first then. First of all, we have addressed this matter comprehensively. As Guyanese, we are aware of our geographic space, and everything I do as president, everything we do as a government, is in context with ensuring the people of Guyana within our geographic space live a life in which there is as little difficulties as possible. The area that you're speaking about is one in which we have received numerous requests from the residents in the area for support in relation to the transportation of goods and services, in relation to supplies, replenishment of supplies for them. It will take them sometimes 3 to 4 weeks to get food in to their villages from New Amsterdam. This, of course, cannot be feasible, and from a humanitarian perspective, all our investment in this area is not from a military perspective, it's from a humanitarian perspective, ensuring that the citizens and communities there are served efficiently with what is required for everyday life, that they have food supplies, they have fuel supplies, and all other supplies that is essential for their existence. So all our investment there is from a humanitarian perspective, is from a people's perspective, and is from a perspective of bringing ease to the plight of people. And that is what my government is about. It's about investing in policies and programs, investing in projects and infrastructure that bring ease to people, that give people a higher standard of living, and that give people a better shot at life. That is the only concern I have and this government has. Thank you.
Rogers, do you have a follow-up?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to know, what have the discussions with the Suriname government been on them protesting Guyana's plans?
I explained to you that we said what we said publicly is what we said privately. That is, there is no militarization. There is investment to support the needs of people, to support humanitarian efforts, and to support the existence of people.
May we have the next question, please?
Good afternoon, sir. Davina Bagat with Kaitor News. Mr. President, on the management of the oil sector, can you say why your government is still refusing to renegotiate the Stabber Block contract to secure greater benefits for Guyana when multiple provisions have already been altered under your presidency?
First of all, I don't know what is new to this subject that would enable you to understand our position. Respectfully, we have answered this question 1,000 times for yourself, your good self, and Kaitor News. But of course, you have consistently walked away from the answer. So I'm going to say once again in great clarity that when we went to the elections, we went with a clear manifesto and a clear vision. And we said very clearly that we understand it's a bad deal. This bad deal was made by the APNU AFC government. What we committed to was to respect the sanctity of contract, and that's international law that has implications for us as a country. Other investors are looking on. But what we said is that future PSAs would not have these fatal flaws, and future PSAs would not have the type of one lopsided arrangement that Exxon had. And we have made those adjustments to PSAs, future PSAs. We have made that public. We had consultations on that PSA, and that is what will govern the sector going forward. Of course, we have to also understand the market in which we are operating. They ensure that whatever we do from a policy perspective does not drive away investment, but that it strikes the balance where you can have investment whilst at the same time have the greatest benefit coming to the Guyanese people and our country. Now, you said to renegotiate for greater benefit. I think that you also are aware of the tremendous benefit that the resources that we're getting, not only from oil and gas, but from the expanded economy, is bringing to our country. You would realize by now that we were able to restore the Because We Care grant that was taken away by the last APNU AFC government. That will go to $50,000 per child. We are giving every single child textbook in their schools. We're building a world-class healthcare system. We're building an education system in which secondary education will be available to all our children. We're having a safer society, investing in safety and security. So when you say greater benefit, if you look at, and I'll go through the stats for you if you like, and I would, at the end of the press conference, go through some of the stats to show you how greater benefit is already coming to the Guyanese people, how the life of every single Guyanese is improving. And you would know, if you can tell me with a very straight face, that even your own life is not improving, that you're not driving on better roads, that you're not saving time going to Region 3, that imagine if we didn't have the crane bypass road, that you're not going to benefit from the new 4-lane bridge that is going to cross the Demra River, that will be free of cost if you're not benefiting from the $100,000 investment that we're making in every Guyanese above 18 years. I don't know if you have children, but if you may have nieces or nephews or persons who are benefiting from the $50,000 Because We Care grant. I'm sure you have elder persons in your family who are benefiting from the improved pensions. And I'm sure that you will agree with me that in some way, shape, or form, you or someone who is associated with you can point to benefits that you're getting from the government and from the investment of the government. And this is what we want, every single Guyanese. Regardless of our views, regardless of our political position, regardless, and of course, we have had new persons announcing their participation in the political landscape of our country. And you represent such entity. So we understand the questions sometimes come from a political perspective based on the political representation that you're making and the political ideology that you're pursuing. And I understand that. And I am humbled by your question, but I also want us to all be fair to each other to understand the perspective and the narrative and where it is coming from. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a follow-up.
Thank you.
Go ahead with your...
Yeah, just before, I just wanted to clarify, sir, that I'm not here to represent a political entity or a political person.
Please.
I'm here as a citizen to ask
I understand.
my
Thank
questions.
you.
Thank you very much.
May we have your question?
Sure. Sir, my follow-up, we know that countries around the world have already made changes to their contracts, their oil deals, that is. So I'm not sure, like, what exactly is preventing your government from doing the same? And also, have you officially written... Sorry?
Is that a statement or a question?
I'm asking a question.
Please
Go on.
do.
What is preventing the president from doing the same here? Also, have you written to Exxon officially to get their response on this issue in terms of renegotiation? Thank you.
So, yeah, there are countries that might have renegotiated their agreement, but there are countries in which companies are pulling out. If you look at, and you can't be selective in your argument, if you look around the world, you will see that there are many countries and many jurisdictions in which companies are no longer funding capital projects or funding exploration or funding their operation because they are now looking to consolidate their assets and consolidate investment. So when you look at the oil and gas sector in totality and you look at what is happening around the world, look, Suriname, Exxon pulled out of Suriname. You saw that? Huh? Did you? Okay, so I just want to verify that you did see that. So Exxon just pulled out of Suriname. If you look at the Middle East and you look at some places in Africa, there's tremendous pulling out of assets. What we have in Guyana is consolidation of assets. So we have to understand the balance and what is taking place in the market. The market is not simplistic. Now, the accessing capital for oil and gas sector has changed dramatically. And we have to see where the new policies now from the US government will take us, because the capital for the oil and gas sector has become more expensive and you have more risk associated because of environmental and climate issues. So the cost of capital is also rising. So that is the market in which we're operating, and we have to be constantly be aware of what is taking place in that market from an investment perspective. And I wasn't in any way, shape, or form saying that you may want to represent a political view, but you will have to admit also that the editor of your newspaper has announced his political intention. The owner of your news outfit has announced his political intention. You're aware of this. Are you? Thank you. That's it. That's all. Once you're aware, let's move on.
Can we move on to the next?
Okay. Oh, yeah, official. No, we don't need an official response. We have made our position very clear that future PSAs, and we have stuck to that, and existing the PSAs, the sanctity of contract, we respect that. You know this. We have discussed this many times before. Thank you for your questions.
Right, Kaito News.
Let's go to the next one.
Kaito News, you had your answer. You'll have another opportunity. May I have the next question, please?
Good afternoon, sir. Avisa Paul from the Department of Public Information.
Mic is not working for.
Sometime in February, several countries expressed Department of Public Information. Several countries expressed interest in establishing a gold refinery in the country. Can we have an update on this?
Okay. Yes. So we have had Guyana our position now is changing rapidly globally. Because of the way in which we are growing and because more persons, more of the sophisticated investors and countries are becoming aware of who we are, where we are, and the type of natural assets we have, we are seeing greater interest in investment in different areas. We have had some interest and proposals in establishing the establishment of a refinery, and I know the Ministry of Natural Resources is looking at some of those, but we have not gone past the examination of this yet. We have not made a decision we know that we would love to have a gold refinery here. With that investment would sit well with our country. It fits into the natural growth of the sector and the natural advancement of our country. But we have not made a concrete decision yet on which refinery or who is going to invest.
DPI, do you have another question? Next question.
Naomi Paris for the Guyana Chronicle. 2025 is earmarked as an election year. Could you say what would be your government's strategy in terms of development?
That's a very interesting question. Our strategy in terms of development would not change as a result of elections. Our strategy and philosophy in relation to Guyana is about the people. It has always been about the people. Never driven by elections, never driven by power, never driven by the desire of power. What we see is winning elections and forming of a government as a tool through which we can advance the welfare of people, through which we can develop our country, through which we can give the Guyanese people the best shot at life, through which we can build prosperity for every single household. So our strategy would not change. From day one, as president and as a government, you saw where I was. I was with the people, on the ground, in every single community, listening to them. That's important. Listening to the community leaders, listening to the community, listening to our private sector, listening to the manufacturing sector, and building blocks of development. Building from the community, creating individual wealth, community wealth, national wealth, country wealth. So nothing has to change. We just have to stay connected to the people, stay to the task of building every community, stay to the task of improving the lives of every Guyanese. We have already delivered completely on all the promises we made in the manifesto. Every single commitment we made in our manifesto, we have been able to deliver. And that is what the people elected us on. That is what the people elected us for, to fulfill what we said we will fulfill. We have fulfilled it, and we have gone through bonus now. So I am very confident. We don't run the government on an election timetable. We run the government on a people's timetable. And once we continue to have the people as the center of the focus, elections will take care of itself. And of course, we're going to win the elections with a huge majority.
Chronicle, would you like another question?
Yes, please. Also on the topic of election, have you received any advice from GCOM on when we could see that happening? Also, have they made any special requests for financial support?
Well, of course, in election year, I expect GCOM would need more resources, and that will be taken care of through the budgetary process. The budget will take care of all the resources or additional resources as required for the elections, and we have made it very clear that whatever resources is required for the elections, it will be made available. What we want is the continuation of democracies, transparent election, free and fair elections, and I'm sure GCOM is already in the process of ensuring that all its processes and is in place so to have the elections. And I'm sure they'll be ready for the elections. And we as a government, we are of course very, very much ready.
May we have the next question, please?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Trina Williams from the Guyana Chronicle. Could you provide a brief assessment of your government's efforts to unite Guyana even in the face of detractors of development who are trying to foster divisiveness in the society, especially with elections, especially as we head into elections?
A lot of people are focusing on elections already. We are far away from the elections. But let me say, our agenda has always been about unifying the people from day one. I said that we want to build a Guyana in which our motto, one people, one nation, one destiny, would be realized fully as one Guyana, under the umbrella of one Guyana. All our investment, if you look at our investment, is in every single community. Look at the transformation that is taking place in terms of the physical infrastructure. When we give out textbooks, it's for every child across the country. Because we care grant is for every single child. The $100,000 grant is for every single Guyanese above 18 years old. The old age pension, when we increase that, is for every single Guyanese. The investment, and if you look at the number of businesses that is growing out of communities that one would want to term opposition stronghold. There's nothing like opposition stronghold anymore. We are working in every single community for every single Guyanese, and we're going to see the results. We're going to see the results. We are working. So I would say that the investment decision-making process of the government involves translating benefit to every single Guyanese, regardless of political affiliation, regardless of where you're from, community, regardless of wherever you're from. Our investment is in people, every single Guyanese. The scholarships, the more than 30,000 scholarships, the free education for University of Guyana, universal secondary education, training to ensure that all our teachers will be trained teachers and then trained graduates. The more than 6,000 nurses that we are training. All of these represent all of Guyana. It does not represent any fragmented segment of our society, and that is what we are building. Opportunity and investment that would make the life of every Guyanese better and different.
Do you have another question?
I have a follow-up to what the President just said. I know that you briefly spoke on the one Guyana.
A little more loudly, please.
Okay, no problem. Is this okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. You briefly spoke on the One Guyana initiative just now. I want to know if you are confident that the One Guyana initiative will achieve its goal.
100% confident. There is no other choice. We have no other choice but to ensure that one Guyana, in which all our people are united and purposefully brought together. We have no other choice but to ensure it's successful. There are detractors. There are those that would not want to see the success of this because it does not fit their political narrative. It does not fit their political ideology. But this is not about politics. This is about our future. This is about our country. This is about our people. This is about who we are. And that is what I want to see. By 2030, we must be so united and strong together. We must be so collectively integrated with each other that, when the outside world look into us, they can see the model of cohesion, the model of social integration, the model of cultural integration, the model of religious integration. That is what we have to be, the model for the world. We are blessed with 6 different cultures and people. We have to use that to demonstrate to the world what a model of cohesion, what a model of social integration, cultural and religious integration should look like. And that is what we're working towards. Thank you. And there is no room for failure on this. Absolutely no room for failure on this.
May we have the next question, please?
Mikhail Rodriguez for Daybreak News. President Ali, given the massive infrastructure development across this country, new road networks, highways and such, and that giving way to a rise in the fatalities in the road, what is your government going to do for the new year to ensure safety of the citizens? Is there some kind of a policy being worked on? What is going to be rolled out for 2025?
Yeah, and that's an important question, but I just want to correct from a factual perspective. I agree with you. It is one death too much on the road, and we have to continue to improve the safety on the road. We are a very small population, and we cannot afford to lose our human assets this way. But what is the reality? And I'll go through some of the initiatives that we are pursuing. Only today I had a report on the electronic system that we're implementing to improve road safety and to save lives on the road. And we have had, if we had on the roads that we have the cameras, we had more than 60,000 instances where people were speeding. And that is in the testing phase. Very soon you're going to see the electronic speed meters out on the road that is going to tell you, slow down, you're speeding. So we have these proactive measures to help drivers also. We have the electronic system that would improve transparency, improve accountability, and create a more speedy way through which persons will be held accountable for their actions. But if you look at the figures that is before us now, and I want to, sometimes we overlook the great work of the Guyana Police Force, and I want to give credit to the Guyana Police Force and the traffic chief and his ranks for some of the accomplishments that we made in 2024 in relation to road safety. So if you look at fatal accidents, we had, well, I hope that we keep the road safe until 12 tonight. As I speak to you now, I'm advised that in fatal accidents, we have a decrease of 20% from last year. In deaths, a decrease of 24% from last year. Serious accidents, a decrease by 2%. Minor accidents, a decrease by 3%. And so if you look at what we have, and that's from the safety perspective, that's from fatalities and all of that. We have consistent decreases from last year, which would have meant that some of the interventions that we have made is bearing fruits, right? So I'm going to look at that, the interventions in a few seconds. But if you look also at enforcement, we had an increase of 37% in terms of cases made. That is cases that were made and taken to the court, an increase of 37%. So you see there also that we had greater policing work that led to more cases being made. Outside of that, if you look at speeding tickets, and I want to go through everything that they've given me here. Speeding tickets issued 42,748. As I said, the electronic system I just mentioned is going through its testing phase. 42,748 speeding tickets. If you look at summons executed in 2023, just about 10,003 summons were executed. In 2024, 13,364 summons were executed. If you look at warrants executed, in 2023, 1,365 warrants were executed. In 2024, 2,398 warrants were executed. So you can see that the enforcement aspect, the policing aspect, has also improved substantially. And this takes a lot of effort. Of course, this is not only about the police force. It's about individual choices and individual action. You know, when you sit in a minibus and you see people speed, the driver speeding, you have a responsibility to stop that bus and get out and report that bus. You have a responsibility as a driver to drive safely for yourself and your families. And I know Chabral is smiling because he has made this point many times, that as individuals we have responsibilities too. And if we don't take our responsibility seriously, then you know, this is addressing the issue from the entire ecosystem. But outside of that, we had a very rigid education program countrywide. Lectures to schools, we had 574 lectures to school. Lectures to drivers and training program with drivers, more than 761 such programs across the country. Lectures to bar owners and patrons. We had in the bars, we had education program, more than 211 such programs across the country. Defensive driving session, we launched a defensive driving session across every region, targeting the public sector and private sector. We had 86 such sessions. Community relations, we had many interaction with drivers, operators, citizens, leaders, pastors, imams, pandits, religious leaders. So all of this is part of the holistic approach in addressing this issue. So if you look at the reduction in fatal deaths and reduction in all levels of or intensity of accidents, you will see that there are a number of interventions that we can point to. One is the intensification of the traffic education program, the strict enforcement of traffic laws with no discretion or consideration given to unlawful behavior and action, the promotion and use of technology, smart city, smart country, the intelligence traffic cameras and body cams. You know, we've invested also in body cams to be utilized by the traffic officers. Improve road infrastructure to include traffic calming measures and traffic light signals at all intersections. That is something we are working on. Increase awareness in terms of school children of all manner of road users, increase awareness and education. We had a social media education program and presence, the suspension of driver's license, the introduction of the electronic-based theoretical examination for prospective drivers, which gives faster feedback for students, the customized exam rules, and lead to greater safety in terms of results and everything. In 2025, of course, you asked what are some of the plans that we want to pursue. We are looking to the implementation of the amendment of the Traffic Act, Chapter 5102, with reference to use of intelligence traffic cameras to target violations attributed to speeding, failure to wear seat belts, distracted driving, and dangerous driving. And this is the full implementation of the e-ticketing system. And our e-ticketing system will be comparable to the best systems worldwide. So we are adopting the best technology. Establish and maintain concerned citizens WhatsApp groups in all divisions through the Traffic Department communication strategy for real-time information exchange and action. Use of intelligence cladded ranks to look at errant drivers and look at the use of our smart devices to detect and to identify persons who are abusing the roadways. Enhance engagement with promoters, DJs of the entertainment industry to promote road safety and security. Develop closer working relationship with the ministry, across ministry and agencies. Sustain the collaboration with the private sector, local chambers of commerce, National Road Safety Council. Implementation of the demerit point system. This will be a big one in 2025 when we want to implement the demerit point system. The enhanced training areas and opportunity for traffic ranks, including the use of technology, the full application of body cams. Then we look at the fine system, the suspension system, making it more user-friendly. And this system, I want to make it very clear. This system is not being developed to go after persons. The system is being developed to keep everyone safe, to ensure that we all comply, to ensure that there is transparency and openness. The system is rigid. The system has less human interference for biases, so it's electronic, it's technologically driven. So those are some of the things that we are pursuing in terms of improving further road safety. But I've pointed to you to the tremendous accomplishments this year. We are still not happy because every death is one that we are dissatisfied with.
If the President would permit me, I would like to say one thing on this matter myself. I'm older than anyone in this room by many years. I have not had a single accident in Guyana of any. It is a matter of individual discipline.
And you don't drive anymore, kid?
I still drive.
Okay.
Every day. So it is a matter of individual discipline. If you want to drive fast, join the racing club and race on the tracks, what I did. Thank you, President.
Please.
Secondly, Mr. President, given the state of affairs around the Caribbean and none other than our neighbor Venezuela and now Trinidad, the circumstances in Trinidad presently, what is the government's plans for the New Year's to ensure safety and security of the Guyanese citizens?
Now, so that's a very interesting issue. And I saw some newscasts across the region addressing this issue in the last 24 hours. Because as criminals feel pressured in their territory, they look for new territory. That is how the criminal entity operate. So as there is push factor, and so they look for new territory when they feel threatened in their existing territory. And as they conquer territory, they try to grow the network to own more territory. We are a very integrated and closely knitted community across the CARICOM region. So of course this is of great concern to all of us in CARICOM. But on the issue of crime, maybe I think we should, if I may, let me go a bit more elaborate on what is occurring, because there is also a misconception on our successes in terms of crime fighting here in Guyana. And I really want to congratulate the Guyana Police Force, and all the officers and so on, who are working diligently to help us to fight crime. And let us look at some of the things that we have done and some of the results. But your point is so key that the entire region is paying attention to this now. The movement of gangs, the transfer of weapons, the expansion of gangs and so on. And we have to be mindful of this. So what we have done in 2024 is expand the Safe City project. We have state-of-the-art surveillance system in many of the important locations now, especially the urban centers. We have more than 500 body cams now available to our officers who are fighting crime and also in traffic. We have invested in state-of-the-art drones. So the Eye in the Sky program has been very successful for us. I don't know how many of you paid attention, but during the Christmas holidays, they were all over in the streets, giving back real-time information and footage to the control center as to what is happening. We also launched a new program where we have the Citizens Watch, where we have connected the surveillance CCTV cameras to big screens outside Stabrook, for example, in key areas, so that everybody can be looking at the screen and seeing what is happening in the streets and what is happening, and identify potential threats. So that also has brought tremendous results. We are also modernizing our fleet. As you know, we have 19 advanced marine vessels now, that is fast boats, that is operating along our riverways. So our reaction time, you know the congestion on the road. So our reaction time along the Demerara River going all the way to the East Bank, East Coast, has improved dramatically. And we are now building landing pods across the coastline, so that part of our crime fighting strategy will include these 19 advanced marine vessels that are fully equipped and will have landing pods now to help in terms of chase and advancing our work. We have had numerous training programs with our regional and international partners for all levels of our ranks, and this also have brought tremendous results. And if you look at some of the results that I'm talking about, the crime rate reduced by 13.6% for the year 2024 when compared to 2023. 13.6%. Now listen to some of these stats, and I hope my friend from Kaichor would give me some headlines on these, because this is important also for investment confidence. Over a 10-year period, serious crime reports were the lowest in the current year. In the last 10 years, serious crime reports were the lowest in the current year. Over the last 10 years, the lowest number of murders were recorded this year. Over the last 10 years, the lowest number of murders were recorded this year. Over the last 10 years, the lowest number of all categories of robberies were recorded this year. Over the last 10 years, the lowest number of all categories of robberies were recorded this year. Over a 10-year period, break and enter and larceny reports were the lowest in the year 2024. Go back that one more time for you too. Over a 10-year period, break and enter and larceny reports were at the lowest in the year 2024. Over a 10-year period, we had the highest seizure of illegal firearms recorded this year. In the last 10 years, the highest seizure of illegal firearms was recorded. We had the most prosecution and charges for persons with trafficking of drugs. That tells you that our men and women in uniform are proactively working. They don't get these kudos in the news every day, but this is the results of hard work, investment that we are making for public safety and security that we promise, the policies that we are pursuing, and good men and women who still reside in the Guyana Police Force that are helping us to have these results. Now, a very important stat, and Kit would understand how important this is, and Shabral maybe, because they have been following these stories a long time. Our clear-up rate for murder, for the year 2024 amounted to 71%. That's no ordinary accomplishment. Our clear-up rate for murders for the year 2024 accounted to 71%. What that means is that more people who are committing these acts are being caught, charged, and prosecuted. And that is because of the investment we have made in technology, the safe command centers, and the surveillance system that we have put in place. Now, that does not say that we don't have risk. There's tremendous risk, especially with what is happening across the region. So what we're doing now is that we're beefing up our immigration system, so that will help us on who's entering. So it's not human-based anymore. It is going to have the technology and digitization in terms of the electronic gates, and so when people are coming in, we know who are coming in. We also are going to continue to advance these technology that we're investing in, from safe city to safe country now. So all over the country, we're going to have these facilities up. We're going to have more of the public imaging and more of the education program, and more of the soft approach, more of the community policing approach, where we have not community policing from a hard policing perspective, but having the police and leaders in the community working together and developing community plan, involving persons in community work, and the investment we are making at the community level in recreational facilities, in parks, in giving opportunities to people. The job creation opportunities that are all over the place now are also helping in this process. All right? Thank you.
We have the next.
Finally, President Ali, your government for consecutive years.
Mr. Rodriguez, you're taking liberties. You're having a third question.
You had two questions. You'll have to
You've
come back.
already had
You have
two.
to wait your turn.
Pass the mic on, please.
Finally, I'll be after
Mr.
this. I'm
Rodriguez,
done.
Everyone else is observing.
You'll
the
come back.
disciplines. We'll come back to you.
Mr. President, that is Shabral Jamrar Waves. Sir, could you say what information has been provided by the United States about the alleged gold smuggling and tax evasion by the Mohammeds? And secondly, sir, I will go to the third one. In the past, the government had expressed concerns about a number of Court of Appeal decisions, especially in political cases. To what extent are these concerns preventing you from substantively appointing especially the Chancellor of the Judiciary? If not, what is causing the delay in confirming both the Chief Justice and the Chancellor?
So, as you're aware, the AG has written to the U.S. in relation to the sanctions and getting the required information so that we can take action. I know the AG is following up on that, and we have not received, as far as I'm aware, or has been advised, the type of information as yet that would necessitate action that is required, but we are ready, as I said, to receive such information. As it is now, the information set that the AG has requested, I think we are still awaiting that information set. That was the last report from the AG to me. In relation to the Chancellor and the Chief Justice, as you're aware, we have a Chancellor and Chief Justice acting. I'm not going to comment on the statement you made that a lot of political cases are being overturned by the CCJ. Well, I can take your argument a bit further. So if you look at, I think the point that you were trying to make was the one that the AG made, in which a number of cases from the CCJ, the ruling from the appeal court, the ruling from the appeal court is being overturned by the CCJ. That is the point that you were trying to make, right, Shabral? Right, no, that has no impact. That is a judicial course, and that is why you have superior courts. So, and that is why you have persons who can go to superior court. So that has no impact on our decision making. That the impact of that is the judiciary itself and what happens at different level of the judiciary. And that is why the judiciary is made up of superior courts, so that decisions can be tested. And you will see that the decisions that went to the CCJ were tested, and the CCJ would have given its ruling based on those decisions. Similarly, you had decisions from the High Court that were tested, and you saw the CCJ aligning itself with the type of decisions that came out of the High Court. You had decisions from the High Court that were also that was also overruled at the appeals court. So that is how the judiciary works. That has no impact on us or the government appointing a chancellor or a chief justice. However, that tells also that the judiciary itself has to examine those decisions and the quality of decisions to ensure that the judiciary is always held in high esteem, and to look at maybe the reasons why you may be having a high rate of overturn of decisions at the CCJ. That's not for me to determine. The judiciary is a separate arm of government, and they have to do their own analysis. They have to look at their own systems to have continuous improvement. And as you know, I can also point to areas in the judiciary in which we have improvement in the clear-up rate of cases and so on. So that has no impact on the appointment of the Chancellor or the Chief Justice from my perspective. Now, I would say that, the process, there's a process to be followed, and as President, I would follow the process, taking into consideration all the circumstances that exist to ensure that we have the Chancellor and Chief Justice that that would continue to take the judiciary into a place that all of us will be proud of, all of the region will be proud of. So, as President, the issue of the Chancellor and Chief Justice is one that is being continuously looked at. It's not that we don't have a Chancellor and Chief Justice now. We do have a Chancellor and Chief Justice acting, just like we had a Commissioner of Police acting for a period, and the police commissioner was confirmed recently. I didn't invent the situation. I didn't invent the situation of the acting Chancellor and Chief Justice. But yes, I take the point that, we have to move ahead with this.
Dennis, do you have another question? Go ahead.
Actually, Mr. President, I would like you to tell us why is the government indexing the increases in wages and salaries to the cost of living? For instance, why is the minimum salary that's being offered in the public sector not being indexed to the level of the cost of living?
So I don't know where you're getting your analysis from, but I would like to hear from you, what is the inflation rate? Because if you look at the inflation rate at mid of this year and look at the type of salary increases that we have given, you will see the challenge. And let me tell you what is the complaint now, frankly speaking, is that the private sector has to keep pace now with the type of increases that the government is giving. And that itself has implications. When you look at the competitiveness of our economy, the government don't operate in isolation. The government operates in an environment in which the policies that we implement and decisions that we take also have effect throughout the system. I can point to numerous instances now where persons from the private sector are seeking to enter the government services. Many persons, whether it's the banking sector, they are seeking, maybe save and except from the mid-management to executive management, you have many instances now where the salaries in the public sector is so competitive that persons are coming over or seeking to come over to government service. Now, let's talk about the cost of living a bit that you're speaking about. Because, you also have to give credit to the government. When you look, let me find this information I have here. When you look at what we have done to put money in people's pocket, to expand disposable income, to minimize the impact of price transfer, to minimize the impact of global shocks on our economy. It is enormous. It's an amazing story. There is no country in the world per capita that has done what we have done. We have removed taxes from fuel, which has the highest impact on population and cost flow, because the cost of fuel impacts everything. It impacts transportation costs, it impacts food costs, it impacts electricity costs, it impacts water costs. We have removed the taxes completely from that. That is billions and billions of dollars that we have taken off of the burden sheet of the population. And that is only one area, the VAT on water and electricity that we remove. The more than 200 plus taxes and license fees that we remove from goods and services. Imagine if those things were still in place. Imagine if we still had the tax on the fuel. And many of this is imported impact. So the government has consistently made good decisions in terms of mitigating the challenge of global cost of living increases. And let me just share some information, Shabral, with you. We have supported the population in unbelievable ways. If you look, for example, at healthcare, in healthcare, through direct intervention, not only the free healthcare services, and I'm very happy to say, and I must commend you, Shabral, that you write when you see things that are challenging, but you also write when you see good things. And I saw your article on the Georgetown Hospital and the improvements that is taking place at the Georgetown Hospital. So let us look at health, for example. Cardiac medical treatment, 1,746 persons. Dialysis, the $600,000 check that we're giving for dialysis. Eye care, cancer screening, imaging, hip replacement, never done before. Prosthetics, IVF, medical procedures, the free spectacles, cervical cancer. When you look at these investments that we have made for the Guyanese people, it has benefited more than 150,000 persons across Guyana directly. That is costs that they would have had to incur. And that is a cost of more than $3.3 billion. We don't speak about this every day. This is outside of the services we provide at the health centers, the hospitals, and all of this. That is money that we're saving persons from their own disposable income, or they could not afford it at all and would not have benefited from the health care. If you look at the Ministry of Agriculture and the type of support we give, whether it's to our fisher folk, the flood relief, the fertilizer grant, intervention on El Nino, the agri-input to help food production and increase food production in the hinterland and other areas. When you look at the severance we give to the guys, school workers in 2021, the cash grants and so on. I'm not even calling the cash grants that we invest in the public servants and the COVID cash grant. In agriculture alone, more than 210,000 persons benefited from interventions from the government. More than $11.7 billion. Ordinary persons. More than $11.7 billion. Look at the Ministry of Education, the Because We Care grant. More than 201,000 children across the country are benefiting from this. The school feeding program, more than 126,000 children. More than 179,000 children benefiting from the textbook program. The National School Grant Program. All of this in education alone, what we're giving and supporting our children is more than $48 billion. And look at sports, community sport facility, the Ministry of Human Services, the cash grant, the permanent disability grant, the empowerment grant, the medical assistance. We now put every single person on the permanent register. More than 19,000 persons. More than 27,000 persons now on the register of persons living with disabilities, all of whom we are supporting. Just announced a 35,000 grant to go to those persons. The business grant, all of this, that's from the Ministry of Human Services, another $6.5 billion. Look at the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, the small business grant, the disability loan, the green tech grants, the training, the sponsorship from the Ministry of Tourism, the support for our different industry. That's another $2.5 billion. Then the Ministry of Finance, the COVID-19 cash grant, the end of year bonus for the frontline staff, the tax-free cash grant to public servants, the $100,000 per person. That alone might be $60 billion. All of these are investment in whom? The people of this country. For what? To improve their disposable income, to give them an opportunity to invest, to give them an opportunity to, and many of them are using this to invest in their homes, to build their homes, to pay for their house lots. That's an investment of more than, when you add next year, the remainder resources that we'll have to spend for the 100,000 grant, that is in excess maybe of $160 billion. Direct transfer to the people. That is what we're doing. There's no other country that is doing that. Thank you. Thanks.
John O'Brien, Guyana Times. Pivoting to energy, what are your expectations and what should be the expectations of the populace when it comes to GPL in the new year? And once the gas to energy project comes on stream, what are your government's immediate and long-term projections for Guyana's economy? And I had a follow-up on one of my colleagues' question. One of my colleagues had asked about...
Let's take it one at a time. We can come to the follow-up in a minute.
Okay, so you mentioned two things. One is the GPL. Yeah, so GPL has been a subject of, public engagement recently, rightfully so. Now, let us look at, and I have made it very clear that GPL, the management will be held accountable. We are making the investment that is necessary to ensure we have reliable and efficient power, because we need reliable and efficient power in a modern economy. We need reliable and efficient power to ensure that the type of industries we want to invest in are supported with infrastructure that is necessary to help them to invest here. And we also need cheaper power, and those are the things we are addressing. So let me give you the update because we know the story. The generation availability increase now as I speak to you has increased from 207 megawatts to 267 megawatts following the commissioning of the second power ship on December 23rd. The current demand, and this is what I'm advised here now, the current demand is approximately 119 megawatt, with peaks of 205 megawatt recorded in October, November. So we have 267, and I want you to understand, remember this number, because I'm going to go through it here now. So we have the increase now with the new availability is 267 megawatt. The peak demand is 205 megawatt. Now here's what you have to understand. Several generators that constitute this 267 megawatts have exceeded their scheduled major overhauls. What that means is that when, we keep saying that there was no maintenance program. Many of the existing generators that are in the system, they have gone past the time for overhaul because we did not have the capacity in the system to pull them down. If we had pulled those generators out of the system, we would have lost capacity and lose power. So they had to keep those generators going. So we have several generators which have exceeded their major overhaul period. And they are all operating at reduced capacity to meet demand. Frankly speaking, they can go down anytime because they're all past their maintenance period and so on. So that is why this excess capacity has to be understood. The current generator availability requires a spinning reserve of 27 megawatts. So you have to add 27 megawatts to the 205 because the system should always have a spinning reserve of 27 megawatts, which is calculated at 1.5 times the largest unit. And that is to ensure the reliability of supply of power. Now, what constitutes the generating capacity and how much of that capacity we are talking about in terms of the generators that need maintenance and overhaul? 18 generators representing 115 megawatt of installed capacity, 18 generators representing 115 megawatt of installed capacity require maintenance since the second half of 2024. So you have 115 megawatts of power coming from generators that had to be maintained since the second half of 2024, rescheduled because of the situation we were facing. These generators are operating below capacity, posing high risk for failure. So we have to slowly take these generators out now because we have this capacity now, so we can have them maintained and placed back into the system. So really you don't have much room because as you take out, you have to add on. So we have to take out, so when you add on the spinning reserve that is required, and understand that you have to now use this period, and that was part of the plan, use this period to have all your generators with deferred maintenance maintained and back in the schedule now. From this 267 megawatt presently available, 115 megawatt require urgent maintenance, which will have to be staggered in 2025 in such a way to avoid shortfall in generation availability. Now, what occurred since the second ship came in? So I want us to be very factual, and I am advised by GPL as of this morning that since we have added the new ship, there were 8 outages, resulting in 10.13 hours of inconvenience. And these were the dates and the reasons. On the 23rd, of December, there was a damaged transformer at Bush Lot. The damaged transformer at Bush Lot feeding Judicial, the team replaced that transformer and repowered the customer there. On the 23rd again, there was a broken insulator at Hope. This is Enmore to Dutch 4, That replaced broken insulator was done in 43 minutes. On the 24th, there was a damaged transformer at Prospect. Grove to Providence area was affected, and that transformer was dealt with in 32 minutes. Now, this is what I've been advised, and we're not hiding from anything. This is a government that gives the full story. On the 28th, we had damaged lightning arrestor and burnt RCO switch at Columbia to Seafield. The team replaced the damaged RCO switch and isolate lightning arrestor. That took an hour. On the 28th, we had customer cutting trees at Greenheart Street. Industrial site in Nandi Park was affected as a result of the cutting of trees falling on the transmission line. The branches were removed, and it took 38 minutes to have the system back up. On the 29th, we had defective pole top pins at Den Amstel. Edinburgh to Best was affected, and these poles were replaced. It took 30 minutes. On the 24th again, we had a vehicle hitting a pole at Yarrocabra. Suzdai Junction to Kurukuru was affected. It took them 50 minutes to reinstall that. On the 26th, a vehicle hit a pole at Zeeland, and the area from Dikendren to Tushan was affected for a period of 2 hours, and that had to be addressed. Now, the other big issue that we have at GPL that we must address is the transmission and distribution. So there is a major plan in 2025 to address the transmission and distribution system, and this would be an investment maybe of in excess of $750 million US. We'll have the construction of approximately 155 kilometers double circuit transmission line, 214 kilometers of 69 kV transmission line, and 343 kilometers of private distribution lines across region 3, 4, 5, and 6. The construction of 9 69 kV stations in Kururu, Hydroni, Purika, Princess Street, Georgetown, LBI, Enmore, and number 53 Village, and the upgrade and expansion of New Georgetown, Garden of Eden, Kingston, Onfuwak, Edinburgh, Good Hope, and Columbia substation. The construction of 230 69 kV substations in Williamsburg and Trafalgar. 4 capacitor banks for voltage regulations, a 30 megawatt hour, 1 hour battery energy storage system, the installation of 2 km 69 kV double circuit underground transmission line under the Demerara River, and expansion of the Vrena Hoop and Kingston substations. Replacing the existing submarine cable, and this is important if we are to dredge the river to achieve the draft that is necessary to make this river competitive, because right now, you know, the draft is very low and only certain size of ship can come in. So this is an important project from a GPL perspective and from a commerce perspective. So, I mean, I can go on with the plans for 2025, but these are some of the plans that we have for 2025. Of course, a very important consideration in 2025 is the customer savings as a result of the proposed reduction of the 50% tariff. Now, through the commitment of the government of Guyana, in 2025, some point in 2025, the 50% reduction in tariff will take effect. What this means and what we have to plan for is that based on current consumption, the consumer savings will be approximately $2.2 billion per month. Per month. And that's based on the current customer base. Consumption, sorry. The current consumption. The monthly, when that is implemented, the monthly savings to consumer would be $2.2 billion. That is $2.2 billion back in the pockets of Guyanese every single month. With a reduction in price, GPL also expect new customers will be coming on the grid. And in their projection, the savings as a result of the new customer And the existing consumption will be $3.3 billion per month. $3.3 billion per month of savings. The gross customer consumption is projected to increase by approximately 44% per month. That is a projection of increase in terms of consumption. Now in 2024, a total of 124 megawatts of new generation was added to the grid. In 2024, approximately 1,000 new households in 17 previously unserved areas became first-time beneficiaries of electricity. So these are some of the additional accomplishments in 2024 that we have been able to achieve. So the story was not all bad. There's a lot of bright spots, and yes, there are challenges, and I've held the management accountable, and we'll continue to hold them accountable. As I said, action will be taken, but we have to understand what they inherited and what we are doing moving forward. Thank you.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, on one of my colleagues' previous questions, someone had asked about a gold refinery. Sometime early this year, you'd spoken about an aluminum plant, plans to establish that and so on. Are there any updates on this venture?
Yeah,
Any
so
proposals?
that's important also, and as we speak about the second gas to shore project that we are projecting for Berbice, we are looking at the industrial park to support that gas to shore project, and of course, between Guyana and Suriname, there's a huge deposit of bauxite. With the cost of energy coming down from natural gas, it then makes the aluminium plant viable, because energy is an important part of the business decision there. So that is part of what we are looking at for Berbice, Region 6, in the industrial hub and the gas development, second gas development that will come there. That is one of the options that is available.
And what financing options are being looked at?
We have not reached there as yet.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Neil. I work with the newsroom. Mr. President, could you say, without being specific, what specific measures are coming up in the budget? I gather early next month. Is there a timeline for the presentation of it? And as you were speaking of cash grants, I wanted to ask whether more of that will come next year. And looking ahead to next month and perhaps the following months, are there any new systems that will be put in place for the distribution of the cash grants? Because you would agree it hasn't gone too well, in some cases, even chaotic. And
in some cases, designed so from persons who are spreading mischief. For example, today, we had no ad for persons to turn up in New Amsterdam. Someone posted on social media, turn up to New Amsterdam for a grant. So we have a lot of mischief in the system, and we know who are the mischief makers. We know who are pushing it, and we know what their intentions are, to exactly what you have concluded in your head. That is chaotic. We advertised yesterday, for example, that we will distribute at the NIS offices over a period of a number of days, not one day. We ask people not to be in a rush. And further, that if you have not received it within that time frame, we'll ensure you're paid in your villages yourself, in the villages itself. We went further yesterday to issue a further release that these checks would also be payable at the NIS offices, not the NIS, the NDC offices, in the communities themselves. So that is how far we are going to ensure ease of this. But people are excited, and rightfully so. They have a government that is delivering to them. They have a government that is investing in them. They have a government that is giving back to the people. They're excited about their government. They're excited about their benefit. They're excited to receive theirs. I'm sure you're excited too. But let me say this.
You have to register yet.
Well, if you haven't registered, then you're...
I did Region 3. My time will come yet.
Oh, your time...
Yeah.
Well, when your time comes, I'm sure you'll be first in the line. So let me say this. And we want, and you said cash grant. Did you use the word distribution, or I heard wrong?
No, I was talking about the specific one, but I was
Okay.
asking whether...
I don't want us to... So next year, I'm not going to go into budget measures as yet. We have some time. And you still have to listen to my All Years Night address. Don't forget that. This is not a substitute for the All Years Night address. I still would love for you to lend me your listening ear. So let me say that there are a number of measures. Well, first of all, there are a number of measures that will continue into 2025 that are important for the population, important for the development of our country. And of course, there will be new measures, some very exciting new measures to stimulate wealth, build prosperity, improve disposable income, and advance the development trajectory of our country.
And sir, could I ask you a second question then? Previously, you had said that the government was examining different country models for the importation of workers given the shortage. I'm asking in the context of the fact that next year the many regional hospitals will come on stream. How will you staff them, and what is where are you now with that model for the importation of workers?
So I know the Ministry of Health is addressing this issue because you raised that specifically. So I'll give this one example. Is addressing this issue in many ways. One is that we have the rapid training program that is going on with healthcare personnel, nurses, doctors, the building out of new nursing schools, the diversification of the training institutions across the different regions. And then also, we're in discussion with different service providers, manpower providers, to see how we can meet that demand and that need. Because, for example, the hospital in Dekendren, which is close to your area, will require maybe close to 700 to 900 persons on shift system manning that facility. We already have a shortage in West End Hospital. And to complement that, we have the new West End Hospital that will be constructed. So you can imagine what will happen. And this is replicated in all the regions, including the Hilldland region. So there's a clear strategy on what the medium-term intervention will be in terms of getting the skill set that is required. We are very aware that much of that will need to be imported at some point. We'll have to have that period of bridging the gap, but we have no other choice, and that is being examined fully.
Next question, please. Next question. Are you next in line?
Yes, sir.
The person in front of you is not in line. And next, there? None of you? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Leron Brummel, NCN. Belatedly happy anniversary to you and the First Lady. Quick question from my end. Are you satisfied with your government's efforts to market Guyana on the international stage? And with a lot of foreign direct investment coming in, are you satisfied with the systems put in place by your government to effectively manage that? And I tie that to the local content legislation, if you're satisfied with how that has been operating. And I've got a follow-up actually after this one, sorry.
All right, so let me say that as a government, we continue to set ourselves high standards. So when we achieve one target, we set a higher target. So we are satisfied with the results, but we have set ourselves new targets. That is why we have said in the local content legislation that there will be a period for review. That review is ongoing right now to see what new services can be added, how we can increase the targets in existing services. And as you're aware, the local private sector has invested heavily in expanding their own scale of operation, in expanding and diversifying their base of services that they can provide. So that will be taken into consideration. For a matter of fact, the insurance companies are addressing us right now to see how we can have a higher target or a target for insurance services as part of the local content legislation. So that's an ongoing process, and that's a consequence of success. And that is why we built that mechanism in place, where there will be an annual review to add, because we expected, with the type of policies that we are pursuing, the local private sector to invest and to grow. And we have seen, and I want to compliment the local private sector for the manner in which they are growing and expanding themselves to take maximum benefit out of this. The FDI, I mean, I don't think that there is a country or a major investor that is unaware of Guyana now. And that speaks for itself. So, you know, I've been invited as keynote speaker to every single significant event. I have not attended all because there is no time, but I can tell you that on my desk there is invitation for every key major international event as a keynote speaker, and that tells you something, that people want to hear from Guyana. They want to hear our views, that we're being talked about, that we're in a different place. Am I satisfied? I will be satisfied when we build a prosperity in every single home, and when our people all are under the One Guyana umbrella and enjoying the fruits of thy labor, and by 2030, you will see the difference.
NCN, you have another question?
You will be there with me.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a follow-up to a question asked earlier by Mikhail in terms of the Trinidad situation. Two parts to it. Are we as a local, our borders, is there a heightened security presence to look for the migration of these gang members or gangs coming across here? And secondly, has there been an invitation from Trinidad and Tobago for us to assist them with addressing this issue of security?
As you know, we are a member of the RSS. So I know there are discussions going on within the regional security architecture. And of course, there are measures to look for consequential effects. I want to put it that way. So yes, the security architecture of Guyana met yesterday, and there were discussions examining some of the possible threats and ensuring that our systems are rigid enough to avoid such threats, but working also with regional partners to ensure that our collective system, protect our population.
Thank you. Mr. President, we've been going now for approximately an hour and 20 minutes.
And I did not give an opening statement.
That is correct. Reuters, do you want to ask another question? Would you give Reuters, please?
Chabral, I did not give an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. President.
But I will give a closing statement. Yes.
Yes, you mentioned phase 2 of the gas to energy project and part of it being intended for Berbice. Could you say what exactly is earmarked for Berbice with respect to that project?
So there are many options on the table. We have to see, first of all, and we're examining all the data and all the possibilities. So as I said, there can be the possibility of the industrial hub. If there is an industrial hub, there will be need for more power to power that industrial hub. There is a possibility of the bauxite, and at some point we'll have to have a very pointed discussion with Suriname on how we combine our gas resources to make it more efficient and to build a very scalable sector. And that will allow us now to look at the bauxite from both Guyana and Suriname to see how we can add value to that. Agro-processing, the deepwater port is mightily connected to that, because anything we do would require ease of transport and logistics, ease of shipping. Northern Brazil connected to the deepwater port, and discussions are ongoing with that. We have a working group with Brazil. We have 2 different platforms through which we're examining this. The Afri-Exim Bank, government of Brazil, the investors out of the US, they're all looking at different aspects of this from the UAE and the Middle East also. So we are very sure and very confident, even if it requires government support, we are very sure and very confident that that we will move to the deepwater port, and we will have the infrastructure to support this, of which the gas and the value that comes out of gas will be an integral part.
I can only allow one question.
Next question.
I'd just like to clarify something on the same matter. Go ahead. So what I wanted to clarify is that the infrastructure necessary for that project, the additional power plant and NGL separation plant, that's not what's earmarked for Berbice.
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying that that is also part of what we're examining, because you will have to have power. And of course, if gas comes, And that is, all of that is part of what we're examining. It can be the modular approach, and then you bring in for the separation. So all of that, that is why it's connected to northern Brazil. The possibilities with LNG, the possibilities with all the opportunities that would come in the separation.
Continues, one question.
But we're hoping, just to help you and the viewers, we are hoping that by the energy conference, that there will be at least a plan with the various options that will be, shared and looked at. So we are working towards that, having the plan with the various options by the energy conference.
Gotcha.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question to one of my colleagues' questions that was asked earlier, and then I'll go with my substantive question.
No, you have one question.
You have one question.
Decide if it's the one that you received.
It can be the follow-up if you want.
I'll go with the follow-up to my colleague's question.
Okay, good.
Sir, given that the U.S. has not been forthcoming with the evidence or the information that was requested by your government, will you consider lifting those local restrictions that was implied on the Mohammeds?
I've never said that the U.S. is not forthcoming. I have never said that.
Since you've not received that information.
No, I have never said that the U.S. is not forthcoming. I've said that a request was made by the AG, and the AG is awaiting that information. Chabral asks whether we have received that information. I have said, based on my last advice from the AG, we are not in receipt of that information as yet.
Right, so you have your answer, DPI.
This is a follow-up question to my colleagues on the cash grant distribution. Yeah. Do you think going forward there would be better measures in place to disburse the cash grant in terms of public sector to go into their bank accounts or so forth?
Yes, it's definitely. We always work towards improving the system. You have to also agree that we had to get the data. Then everybody started. You can't transfer anything to anybody account if you don't have the data. So in this exercise, we had to get the data, everyone above 18 years old. That was a tedious exercise. And listen, I want to really compliment the public servants and the staff, the volunteers who are out there, because they're the ones who are facing the crowds and doing the work. And I really want to compliment them and to thank them for the service that they're doing. This is no easy task. We are doing this in record time. Easily, we could have rolled this out in a year. We could have said, let's take our time and roll it out in a year. But we want the benefit to go as fast as possible to people. And I want to thank them for the work they're doing. But yes, of course, once the baseline data is there, the system will become easier. And as you're aware, we are moving towards an electronic platform for everything. So that will assist us, definitely.
Chronicle, go ahead.
So back in November, CARICOM's chair, PM Mitchell, had said that the high cost of a suitable vessel had set back plans for the regional ferry. Could you provide an update on that?
Yeah, so we are still working on the regional ferry. We are still working on having some of the barriers removed. But the regional ferry is a priority, and we are hoping that a substantive report will be available by the time we get to Barbados in February.
Next question.
Mr. President, you spoke extensively on advancing Guyana's development trajectory. With that said, we have a lot of ongoing major infrastructural projects with very close deadlines. Are you confident that these projects will be finished in time? And what are your advice to the contractors?
5:30. So let me say that I, like you, would want to see all of these projects completed on time. And I'm going to do every single thing that I can, and I'm holding our technical staff accountable to ensure that all these projects are completed on time. Where there is need for liquidated damages will be charged. But we're going to be on top of this. You're going to see me more in the fields, as if you're not seeing me enough. If you think you've seen me enough, wait until you see 1st of January start. You were going to see me and the entire team pushing because we have to get these projects completed. I'm going to ensure my friend from Kaichor accompany us on some of these major transformative projects because I want you to write on them too and to tell the story about how they're changing lives, right? It's very important. So yes, you're going to see us working aggressively on the ground. I have concerns, yes, like you. We want to see all the projects completed within the time frame because they're essential in the transformative development of our country. You know, we want to launch before the next CARICOM heads meeting the digital Guyana Digital School that will be available for all of CARICOM. Students from the entire CARICOM can register on that school. So there's a lot of plans and a lot of things that must be completed. And I said I don't want to preempt some of what I'll say tonight too. So at 12, you listen to me tonight. You will you? Yes? Thank you. You're so kind.
Mr. Rodriguez.
President Ali, your government has outdone itself consecutive years as it relates to the budget. Can we expect to see a bigger budget than last year? And how does Gaisuku and its projections play into that budget?
All right. So you can expect tremendous continued investment in the people of our country. You can expect a better future for the people of our country as a result of those investments. On Gaisuku, am I satisfied? No, I'm not satisfied. So let me say, in 2024, there were a number of challenges that we had to overcome. The negative impact of the drought condition, which was for a period of 9 months. This led to a reduction in the normal growth rate of the cane. Smaller, thinner canes due to the reduction in stalk length, increase in fiber content with less juice and lower sucrose content, a decreased nutrient uptake, which resulted in poor plant health, and of course, we had some atrocious management in the fields with late application of fertilizer, and you know, I've said very clearly that we're not going to accept that. We had late arrival of equipment for the mechanization of the fields. As you know, we are working now on the mechanization of field, but with all of those challenges, we still have some successes. We had about 40% of Gaisuku cultivation is now currently converted to fully mechanized operation, 40%. Now fully mechanized, you have to understand where we are coming from. We fixed the fields that became forests under the 5 years of the APNU AFC. Now we have to fix the factories. The factories were left abandoned, no maintenance, no investment. It's just a consequence of bad decisions by the last government. But we have to face it. We're not complaining. We have to own it. And we have to make it different, make it better. We have to make it work now. We have the employment from August 20 to 2024, a 14% increase in unemployment. When you look at what this means, is more than $16 billion into the communities and regions. And as we move forward in 2025, I've read the Riot Act. They know what I expect of them from 2025. And from the first crop, there will be an assessment. And if there's not massive improvement in the first crop, then there will be consequences. The second part of your question was? I addressed that. I addressed the budget. There will be more investment in the people of our country, yes. Yes, thank you.
Mr. President, will government be seeking compensation or refund or damages for all of the now not working generators that were sourced, the containerized generators?
On all the what?
The containerized generators.
The Warcilla?
I think these were through a Pan Energy.
So I've said very, very clearly, Cabinet has said to GPL that in terms of Warcilla and Apan Energy, or whatever we paid for, once it was not supplied or was not delivered, that action must be taken, and I think the AG has already commenced.
It's not only the supply, but those that were not working.
Yeah, well, all of that, whatever was not working, all the issues surrounding Warcilla and Apan is being dealt by the AG. Performance, every single thing.
Okay. And quickly, Mr. President, what's being done to prevent the award of government contracts, especially for billion-dollar infrastructural projects, inexperienced contractors?
Shabral, that's an important question. And it's more than inexperienced contractors. You have so many new contractors entering the system. And they have a machine and everything. The tender process right now is that once you're qualified and you have the machinery and equipment, most of the times you go to the lowest tender. Most of the times you go to the lowest tenders. And because of the quantum of work, I'm hearing you. I'm not disputing you. And because of the quantum of work that is out there now, you have a capacity constraint. Capacity constraint among contractor, among equipment, and among labor. And the skills. And as kids, a kid can tell you from the private sector. Every time I meet with the private sector now, that's the complaint. We can't find workers. We can't find skilled personnel. We can't find operators. We can't find engineers. This is what we're faced with, right? Every single time there's a meeting with the private sector, this is the big issue that we're faced with. That we don't have the number of persons in the country by population to meet what is demanded from the economy, and we have to have a bridge formula to move forward successfully.
Next question.
On the issue of tourism, what specific strategies is the government implementing to integrate the hospitality sector, like boat operators, taxi services, airlines, local airlines, interior locations, and hotels with visitor experience in mind? And similarly, what plans, if any, is the government pursuing when it comes to enhancing public transportation with visitor experience in mind?
Just ask two questions.
Well, we have a holistic tourism plan. And let me say it's a very important question, because in the next 3 to 4 years, heavy emphasis will be placed on tourism, because tourism brings in revenue that trickles throughout the economy. So we have to first fix the airport, which we are fixing. We already have to look at the Terminal 2 now, because those who travel would know the madness that takes place there when you have 2 or 3 flights. We have to fix our, make it easier for the transport of people. I've told the Commissioner of Police by the end of January, I want that immigration form that we have to fill out to be online, so you can fill it out before you go on the plane, or you can fill it out while you're waiting for your flight to the airport. So we want that. That is why the digitization is so important. Yeah, at both airports. Of course, when I speak about airport here, I'm speaking about Ogle and all of port of entry. Then we have a marketing plan that we're pursuing that would look at our niche opportunities. We're looking at major investors in the nature-based product and eco product, the best in the world, to come and establish a footprint here. So they will take us to new markets. Then all the hotels that are coming on stream, we have to ensure that we have the people coming in to fill those hotels. Already we're seeing the dividends as a result of the investment in tourism. We have more people coming in. That is why we have to build a lot of facilities, sports tourism an integral part. The car racing, for example, we have to make that a major event, horse racing, the cricket, football. So all of these things that we're investing in that sometimes people make sly remarks about. The entertainment that we have to invest in, building an entertainment industry. These are all key things. These are all key things to make Guyana attractive, to bring in people, to make us a destination. These are all key things. So when you make those sly remarks, know that you're affecting the future. Before I go further, though, I want to ask if there were any journalists here who felt offended in anything I said or the way I answered any question during the course of this press conference. Because I'm astonished that when people leave this press conference, I see these letters circulating. If there is any, please raise your hand now, so I can, so we can deal with it, and I can tell you sorry. Is there anyone who felt offended? Oh, I'm happy. Yes, please continue.
Not up to now, anyway.
Yes. Because I'm shocked as you, Kip.
Yes.
The question about public transportation.
Yeah, that's part of it. The whole strategy is to build public transportation into it. sorry. We are working now, for example, with the King's Foundation on not only the what we call the heritage and culture. We'll divide Georgetown in different nodes. So this will take me an hour. And I like the subject because it's urban planning. So we're dividing Georgetown in different nodes. And we're connecting those nodes to make Georgetown a walking experience. So you'll have a node that focuses on culture and heritage, one that focuses on green Guyana, one that with riding lane, walking lane, one that focuses on our political identity, buildings and architecture, arts and craft, the waterfront. So we're building out all of these nodes to interconnect, to make what you call the urban walking trail that supports tourism, the capital tourism, capital city tourism. And transportation, integration of transportation is a key part of that. The Essequibo Island tours, that is also a key part of it. Kit will tell you very quietly the local aviation sector is innovating in major way. They're investing in new aircraft, they're investing in new assets, they're expanding their asset base. All of that is in response to the policies and programs that we're pursuing that is expanding opportunities and create lengthening airstrips throughout the country. So all of this integrates into that plan, all right?
As you were not, Mr. President.
I answered your question just now. No, he hadn't come.
Oh, okay. As you were on that tourism bit, are you talking to the airlines in Guyana, which charge exorbitant amounts, at least in my view? I traveled to the Rupununi recently. That same amount I can go to Miami with. Have you been talking with them about that, bearing in mind that the fuel costs did not go
You
up?
can't experience what you experience in our hinterland, the beauty, the untouched beauty, the unspoilt nature.
I'd like to experience it at a reasonable price.
The beautiful mountain ranges, the savannas, the eco-lodge, the freshness. Don't compare, you're not comparing similar product. But let me say this, that yes, we are talking to the local aviation sector to find ways in which we can continue. We remove VAT, you remember, from travel. And it's not only from a tourism perspective, it's from servicing the communities, the hinterland communities. So that's an important part of what we're doing.
My question, sir, you spoke about your manifesto promises being fulfilled. I don't want to drag you to 5:30 p.m., but are there any new and big infrastructure projects that you see?
Yeah, you listen tonight. I will expand on this a bit more tonight.
Are you going to talk about definite funding for the Mabura to Lethem portion of that road?
Those are projects that we have in the pipeline, as you know. I said we have a working group with Brazil. We're examining different options. Bechtel, for example, is looking at some options also. So we're examining different options that will come on the table.
If I can quickly stitch in, the quarrying contracts that you awarded, have those been making
the what?
A difference? The contracts for new quarries, have those been making a difference?
All right, so that's let me see. I have some information on that I'll share with you now. Now, you know, when we came into office, we had a major problem with quarry and the stone, availability of stone. For a matter of fact, we had a situation where the price of stone was nearing 15,000 Guyana dollars per ton. And we had to address that, the cost of that stone price. And so we had to fill the gaps for us by allowing importation, and then we granted a number of licenses and investment incentive for existing operators to expand their production. And maybe I should give you holistic approaches to what is taking place. Bauxite, for example, this year has seen a 136% increase in production, from 523,732 tons to 1,234,000 tons. 136% increase in bauxite. And who benefit the most? Region 10, the people of Region 10. We have supported the investment. They lost jobs under APNU, close to 700 jobs. My friend, you're not taking notes. You're not going to write this part. Thank you. I want you to take notes for these two, you know. So we lost, during the period of APNO AFC, we lost hundreds of jobs in Linden. Look at what we have done. Expanded bauxite by 136%. Who cares about the people? This government. Stone. We have increased stone production from 2023 to this year by 59%. We're going to exceed 3 million tons, or go close to 3 million tons by the end of this year. 59% increase. Sand production. And this is coming from a base in 2023 that is already an increase of hundreds of percent from 2019 and 2020. So sand increased from 2023 to 2024, 27%. Loom, 68% increase. So as of a few hours before I came to the press conference, they told me gold has exceeded the last year production. I don't have the final numbers on that. But of course, the sectors will be doing their own press conference also. Now, sand and stone production is projected to reach 16 million tons. That is sand by 2025, and stone 3.7 million tons by 2025. So that tells the story that all the quarries that we have awarded and the incentive for existing quarry to expand production is bearing fruit. Now let me take this opportunity as you raise that, to raise forestry. Because as you know, the forestry sector went into complete bankruptcy. The forestry sector did not even have money to pay their staff. When we left surplus more than 2023. So if you look at 2019, for example, the production was less than 370,000 cubic meter. This is expected to further grow in 2025 to 500,000 cubic meter. The export is estimated at around $27 million US. The sector now employs, from being bankrupt when we came into office, the sector now employs close to 25,000 persons directly and indirectly. This has increased from 15,000 over the last 3 years. During the period 2015 to 2019, the sector almost came to complete halt with more than 15,000 jobs lost. So I can go through with you the specifics of the sector if you so wish. Okay, so I will save you that. But I have the specifics of the sector also. Is there any more questions? Any further questions on this side of the room? Who was left out? All right, so let me just close up now. I'd just like to say this. Yeah, this press conference is going to just under 2 hours. Approximately 50 questions have been asked. I must thank the President for comprehensively answering every question that the media has put to you. Thank you, Mr. President. I answered so many questions that my bottom popped. Let me also advise you a bit on some important issues you did not ask. An update on the gas to energy project. Now, significant progress has been made on the GTE in 2024. The 250 kilometers pipeline is substantially completed by Exxon within the budgeted costs. The 300 megawatt combined cycle power plant and NGL facility has advanced, with most of the equipment for the project already manufactured and either delivered to Guyana or ready for delivery. The 4 Siemens gas turbine have been delivered to Guyana. The US Exim has approved the $526 million US loan funding to the government of Guyana for this project. These funds are expected to be fully disbursed in 2025. Notwithstanding all of these successes, the project is still behind schedule, and we are, as you know, there are some issues that we're dealing with. The transmission lines and substations has made significant progress. On these, the transmission lines and substations expected to be completed in the first half of 2025. KPIL expertise has already assisted in expediting construction of a new 69 kV transmission line to connect the second power ship moored in Georgetown. A new GPL control center building with modern equipment is expected to be commissioned in 2025. As a result of savings from switching from HFO to gas, the projected savings, the government, of course, will be lowering electricity costs by 50%. Given the rapid level of economic growth, phase 2 of the GTE has been launched, with construction expected to start in 2025. The project will be next to the existing project site at Wales. The Exxon pipeline, already built, will increase gas delivery from 50 MCFD to 125 MCFD, a 150% increase in supply to reach full capacity of the pipeline. The additional gas will expand electricity supply and be used in downstream industry. One option is that of the fertilizer plant to support our local agriculture system. 2025 will also see the launch of the NGL industry, where Guyana will move from being a net importer of cooking gas to being a net exporter of cooking gas in the region. That is a brief I think you will be interested in. There is just one more brief I want to give you on Guyana Water Inc. So, as you know, 2024 has been a very successful year for GWI in terms of expanded infrastructure. The population with access to potable water now stands at 98.3%. Hinterland and Riverine community, which has seen access increase from 46% in 2020 to 91% at the end of 2024. We have the construction of 7 new large water treatment plants. 6 out of the 7 plants are being tested and will be fully operational by the end of January 2025. These will provide over 134,000 residents with access to treated water. We have the upgrade and expansion of 12 water treatment plants. 4 of the upgrades are completed, and by mid-February 2025, all upgrades will be completed, and this will provide more than 34,000 persons with improved quality of water, that is treated water. In addition, 15 small inline treatment plants to provide treated water supply to more than 70,000 residents in small communities across the coastline are ongoing. 2 of the 15 plants are already being installed. All are expected to be completed before the first half of 2025. Overall, more than 250,000 residents will benefit from access to treated water and improved water supply. More than 126 new wells have been drilled, and as you know, many of our wells are old wells, so you need to drill these new wells now. So more than 126 new wells were drilled. 70 new wells are projected to be completed in the first half of 2025. So, you know, these are some of the things that, and there's greater details. The sector will have their end of year press conference, and they will go through with you the details. But let me thank the media for the work you continue to do. Let me thank you for being a part of our democratic society. The media and our media workers are an important part of a country's development. You're part of our democracy. You're part of our collective whole. We may disagree from time to time on our narrative, but that does not mean that we're not part of the collective whole. I see you as an integral part of the development of Guyana and a great part of our democracy, and you'll continue to enjoy the freedom under the People's Progressive Party civic government.
Like anything in life, there are tests and there are testing times. In your own profession, you'll be tested too, because all of us must be tested. Before I close, I want to ask all of Guyana, I know we have to celebrate New Year's and Old Year's and bring in the fireworks and so on. I'm not saying that is an important part of the celebration, but let us also be mindful of our friends, the animals, and not, go out of our way to inconvenience them. If you're throwing these bombs, which is illegal by the way, right? In yards and so on, be mindful of your neighbor dogs, your neighbor animals, the pets, and let us go as far as possible whilst we enjoy in a traditional way. And you have the fireworks, let us really make a conscious effort to take these friends of ours into consideration. I thank all of you for your time. I wish all of you again a very prosperous 2025. And as we navigate the beauty of 2025, I look forward to welcoming you to my first press conference in 2026. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. President. That now concludes the press conference. Have a great Old Year's night.